Hello and welcome to In Time TV's On the Edge. I'm Dr. Jonas Moses, and I am covering the American College of Cardiology convention here at the McCormick Place in Chicago, Illinois, in the United States. With me this evening is Dr. Fred Bove, and Dr. Bove is, in addition to being a physician and scientist, the incoming president-elect of the ACC. Thank you very much for having us.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
I appreciate your joining us. Okay. First and foremost, tell me a little bit about your background. Are you a cardiologist by training?
Okay, well, I'm a clinical cardiologist. I have a PhD in physiology and bioengineering. I have electrical engineering undergraduate training. I've been a clinical cardiologist for probably 40 or so years. I was an interventional invasive cardiologist for 20 or so years, and then presently working a lot in the area of heart failure and heart transplantation. I'm interested in healthcare delivery, so we've been interested in web tools, using communication over secure web tools to manage heart failure and hypertension and things like that. And I'm particularly interested because I'm from Temple University in Philadelphia, which is an inner city university, in some of the underserved minorities and trying to bring better cardiology, health care to the underserved minorities.
You are the incoming President-elect,
right.
And can you tell me a little bit about your involvement in the organization? What made you decide to be a member?
Well, the American College of Cardiology is the organization that represents most of the clinical cardiologists in the United States. I've been a member since completion of training, which was about 1971. As a member, I guess the interest I have is in participation. So I got involved in some of the committees and eventually was responsible for some of the interventional training programs that the ACC developed back in the 80s. And then because I have a lot of interest and background in electrical engineering and information processing, when the ACC started the website, they asked me to be on the committee to first decide whether we needed a website, which I thought was kind of interesting because my immediate answer was yes. But we needed to do a survey and the cost and all that stuff. So that was in about 1995 when we started ACC.org. So I was the first editor of ACC.org and managed that website until 2002 when we started CardioSource, which is our educational and portal website. Sure. And I became the first editor of CardioSource. So I was involved in the development and structure of CardioSource, which from my standpoint was a wonderful experience because as an engineer and a physician, it's the perfect combination of using all of your skills to add to some good things in the world.
I understand. I'm a similar ilk.
Yeah.
So, in brief, talk a little bit about the college.
Well, the American College of Cardiology has about 30,000 cardiologists that are members. About over 90% of the cardiology community in the United States are members of the college. Our primary goals, we're a professional organization, so our primary goals are involving education and quality and improved patient care. Those are our key goals. So we've spent a lot of time developing guidelines. We support through funding and through member participation development of evidence-based guidelines. We've developed practice standards. We've done a lot on, let's say, cardiovascular disease in athletes, for example. We have various position statements on how to manage some of these complex areas of cardiology. And currently, we've been very much involved in what I'll call healthcare reform. We're trying to get involved with the current environment in the United States of healthcare reform because I think everybody agrees that there are some problems in how we deliver healthcare and how we pay for healthcare in the United States. And we feel that we're a large enough organization and have a big enough stake in that area that we're developing our own position on healthcare reform. And a lot of it is based on better patient care and on what we call appropriate use of various and sundry therapies and tests. So that's our biggest thrust right now.
Now, you mentioned that it's an American organization. Is there international outreach also?
Yes, we have international members, and in fact, we're developing an expanded program for international membership. We presently have governors. We have a board of governors component. We have a board of trustees and a board of governors. We have governors from Canada and Mexico, and we're presently expanding that to involve participation from people around the world. For example, we are developing a Cardiosource Spanish version, so we're going to use Cardiosource Español as a website for cardiology education in South America in particular. We've been very much involved in engaging an international community around the world, and we have an international membership category right now. So yeah, we're very definitely involved in expanding the scope of our activities to cardiologists around the world.
You're watching In Time TV's On the Edge. I'm Dr. Jonas Moses. With me, Dr. Fred Bove. Dr. Bove is the president-elect of the American College of Cardiology. We are at the ACC convention at McCormick Place in Chicago, Illinois, and we were just talking a little bit about the kind of outreach to potential new members, and you were making a second point.
Right. The first point was the education programs. The second point is what I call advocacy, because we're really not in a very efficient healthcare system right now. I mean, basically the way that physicians are reimbursed is very arcane in the sense that we get paid for doing things. We don't get paid for best patient care. We get paid for doing a test or an image or a blood test or prescribing a bunch of medications, but we don't get paid for doing a good job in keeping the patient healthy. There's no methodology for measuring that right now. So we are trying to develop an advocacy position within the larger scope of healthcare reform and healthcare payment that would allow physicians to provide high-quality patient care with tools to define quality, but reimburse for the quality of their care, and not necessarily for every time they do a stress test or an echo or something like that. So those are the other pieces that are coming down on us from Medicare and from the federal government, from the insurers, and we're trying to provide the guidelines for new physicians working in the new environment of reimbursement to find their way through this maze and figure out the right way to provide high-quality patient care and still develop a reasonable reimbursement. I think it's fair to say that physicians, after their training and their education and their skills, ought to be reimbursed appropriately. Understood.
I did a show not too long ago on translational medicine. And cardiology is an incredible vehicle for this kind of research, clinical research. What is the ACC doing to encourage translational research?
Well, actually, we're not really in the research mode, okay. In a sense that unlike other organizations that pay for research, we don't have research grants and things like that. I think our biggest interest right now in translational research, and let's define it. It's defined as taking the basic science information and moving it into the clinical arena.
We call it bench to bedside medicine.
Exactly, and there's a big gap. I mean, it's very difficult sometimes to move that core knowledge into a clinical application. So we are developing registries to look at the care that's provided and then try to move the basic science into what we'd call practice guidelines and decision tools that could go into electronic medical records, for example, so we can take that basic information and move it into a format where it's given to the physician right at the point of care. So we are doing that, although we're not in the business of funding basic research or translational research, for example. We are in the business of developing tools to help physicians move the information into the point of care and provide better care for their patients.
Phenomenal. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us. Congratulations, by the way, on your new honor. I appreciate it. Right. Doctor, thank you so much. I have been speaking in this segment with Dr. Fred Bove. Dr. Bove is the incoming president-elect of the American College of Cardiology. We're going to go out and speak to some folks in the crowd in a little bit. And please stay with us. We'll be right back.